Welcome to the Anil Show.
What's up, friends? So we're watching a skit, right, with a lot of different storylines that mirror basically real life, okay? And when we get these skits, we're not sure exactly what we're getting when we're actually getting it. For starters, on my screen, I have the post of Angelina sliding down a wall, right? Because, of course, another DNA test is being asked of Anthony, as far as Kai is concerned, which, made us believe, well, maybe Kai is not the real father and Angelina knows
Whoever
something.
is over there putting it in your head that Kai is not your son, and you think I'm stupid. So all of a sudden,
Okay, so we saw this skit, right? And our first inkling is to think, well, maybe Angelina, cooked the books the previous time. They did a DNA test after this, and of course, we spent time and we argued it over and over again. But at this point in time, we have no reason to believe that Kai, is not Anthony is not Kai's father. We don't have anything at all. The writers haven't given us anything. Bear in mind, though, this is always a story, and the writers may give you different things at different times. If they do that, then of course the situation changes because everything moves once something else moves. Every argument moves, even the argument I'm making now. If the writers were to basically, insert something that we don't have from before, then the facts are going to change clearly because the data has changed. That's just how the formula works. Nonetheless, so I'm sure y'all remember the scene, right, of Arby and Shayla and Anthony when they went to go do the name change, right? And this is going to be integral because what happens at a name change in Georgia? How do you change the name of somebody in Georgia based on how the Georgia courts want it? Again, friends, if you are a lawyer and you want to basically give your pinpoint analysis of this, then you can. Please feel free, go into the comments. I have no point in even bringing you up so you can basically explain it to the audience because my duty is to bring forth what you call now objective content to the black audience. So in other words, I want it as close and as fact-based as possible. That's what I'm interested in, the facts, because I would love us to know our rights, because the more rights that we know, the more we know how to operate in society. That's just basically what it is at the end of the day. All right, so why this important? Because we're saying that based on the name change, there must have been some level of legitimization that has occurred with Anthony. Why is that important? Don't worry, you'll see that. All right, friends, if you know anything at all about me, I like facts and not fiction because I believe that facts help us, and fiction does nothing at all for us but keeps us in the bubble, of life and not understand the society that we live in, especially as black folk. Don't know about you, but I know about me that when I didn't know a lot of things, they made me behave and think a certain way. So in other words, it didn't make me actually understand, where I was and how to understand that particular place. And truth be told, hey, once you come into any society or anything at all, you need to understand the laws to know exactly how it operates. So in Georgia, changing a child's last name from one unmarried father to another requires court involvement through legitimation, paternity, or a minor name change petition, depending on who is currently the legal father. Generally, both biological and legal parents must consent to the minor name change unless the previous father's rights have been legally terminated or abandoned. So there's some level of legitimation we're saying basically that has occurred because Anthony keeps saying him have as much rights as possible, just like how Shayla has rights. He keeps saying this, that hey, him have the same rights, you understand, and he keep mentioning about these rights. Now today, what took place was that Anthony has now taken the child across state lines to Kentucky, and we're saying, well, the truth of the matter is he can do this, now. Would it be courteous for Anthony to basically call Shayla and say, hey, Shayla, I want to take Anthony, I want to take Kai across state lines? It would. It would be the courteous thing to do, but we also understand who Shayla is. She could tell him, no, him can't do this or him can't do that, in a way of trying to control his parental rights. And so when I heard that, I said, well, no, I don't think he needs to report anything to her as long as he's not taking the child away. That's what I said, right? Because, of course, that's how I know it. As long as you're not trying to move a child, you're not trying to change location, you're not trying to do any of those things. In other words, you're not trying to create a whole case. right? And you're not, because that does not constitute any kidnapping. It just doesn't, right? Kidnapping don't work like that, right? Kidnapping means that I'm taking the child away and I'm not going to bring the child back. Okay, if that's what you're saying, then that's something totally different. We also mentioned that there is no custody order. There is none. As of right now, there is no custody order between both of them. We haven't seen a storyline of that. Now, again, friends, if they give us one of that, then it changes things. We're arguing something totally different. So I said, okay, well, the truth of the matter is Anthony can do what he wants. And I've had some pushback from some parts of the audience. And I said, no, as long as there is no custody order, you have legitimately become the child's father, then you basically have some rights. The idea is that you have some rights. That's just as simple as that. However, people say no. So let's see exactly where we can get with. All right, so if you are a father out there and you have decided you want to take your kid out on a vacation, and chances are the mother is going to try to oppose it, especially if sometimes if them jealous, right? Even the father will try to do this with a mother. And by the way, the people who keep, when I say something and I may say, hey, I see it a lot in for us black folk, and they try to give me, well, white folks do it, and well, Mexicans. I don't know anything about Mexicans and white folks and the level that they do it at. I know about my community because I'm very aware of my community, right? And I'm responsible for my community. Just like, for example, the deadbeat daddy narrative is swung a lot on men, right? And men do have to eat that because a lot of men are deadbeats. They really and truly are. They don't take care of a kid as much as they possibly should. Them don't spend financially upon the kid or any of those things, right? And that's one of the things that we have to eat as black men because we've not done as best as possible as we can with that. No, black men are trying to change this narrative, right? I'm a black man and I'm trying to change that narrative, but I'm one out of the men that are trying, and it's going to take us some time to get there. However, it doesn't negate and it doesn't escape me from the reality that there are a lot of black men who don't take care of children. Are there white men who don't do the same? That's fine. That's a different sect of people. I do not have the numbers on that. I'm talking to me and black folk are in on this. My black, I'm dealing with us as a, as a people. So when we looked on this, right, and I tried to get cases that would pull this up. One of the cases that would do this, right? So your strongest argument in the temporary vacation is fundamentally different from permanent relocating the child. This is kind of what I was trying to mention to people. You're not trying to relocate a kid. You're basically just going on a trip and you're going to come back at some point in time. That is different. That doesn't mean that cannot constitute kidnapping. Kidnapping is that you're not getting them back. I'm holding them for a ransom. I'm doing one of those things, right? And I'm not trying to give you the location or the whereabouts. None of these has happened yet. A case that they gave us in Georgia with this was Woodson versus Lino. And again, if you have your family member and they're lawyers and they want to come up and they want to cite cases to do these things, I have no worries with it at all. Because Oneil is for trying to basically get the black community to understand and to be aware of the rights that they have. That's all Oneil is trying to do. It is not trying to see if I can belittle anybody at all. It's none of those things. I just know that a lot of us don't understand our rights, and so we give it up very easily. Okay? So in the Woodson versus Lindo case, 3-4, Georgia, this is an appellant court. The Georgia Court of Appeals addressed an interstate move, including a child and the biological father who had never married the mother. The case is useful because it demonstrates that Georgia court distinguishes between relocation of a child's residence and the ordinary parenting custody issue. The court focused on the child's best interest and the parties' parents' legal rights in deciding custody. So, in other words, and this is kind of what I was trying to pinpoint to a lot of people, as long as Anthony's not trying to do anything outside of just going on a vacation to have fun, and there is no paperwork that states he cannot do it, then you can do it. That was the point I was trying to raise to people. Y'all weren't trying to get it, and I'm saying you're going to have to go into court and argue this. Because it is an argument. You're going to have to go there and make the argument. Do you have something to the contrary to say that you cannot make that particular argument? Because at the end of the day, where I saw a lot of ladies were going was that they were basically doing well, I say you can go, so you can't go, because that's where it was going. Y'all know how Shayla work already. That's exactly where it's going. And that is not true, because things are generally done in the best interest of the child, not in the best interest of the next parent. You understand? it's done in the best interest of the child and not basically the parent. It's almost like the other day I was speaking with someone and we were talking about even child support, right? And what I found with even child support is, even if you were to make an order to say you cannot get child support from a man, ladies, if you were to tell a man that, you know what, we're gonna agree that I won't take child support from you, and something has changed that affects the actual child, you could go back to the court and ask the court to remove that, because of course how they look at child support is that child support is basically a financial duty to the child. You cannot take away the rights of the child. So I wanted people to kind of look in it from this directive, but it's okay. So this was the argument, and I tried to put this up so you could see: the father's temporary trip to Kentucky does not constitute a permanent relocation. Change the child's residence or interfere with the mother's parental relationship. The child was taken during the father's agreed upon time and was intended to return to Georgia. The trip was therefore a temporary exercising of the parenting time rather than an attempt to relocate the child. You're going to have to argue this. This is exactly why I said I was arguing this with y'all. You're going to have to argue this. If you're saying that what Anthony has done is illegal, you're going to have to argue why it is illegal. This is exactly why Oneil was saying what he was saying. So see, and I gave you that case basically as a main case, because that's the main case of whatever it is. And there are many more things in it. This is what I wanted to basically argue with people, right? I was trying to do it on a live, and I realized we couldn't do it on the live because of that, right? But I wanted to show you that, and it's an actual case that is in Georgia in itself. That's a case in 2018, right? Where the mother basically, I guess the mother was trying to do the same thing to stop the father from going out of town with the kid or whatever she was trying to do. She's bringing up some case of the sort. Unless you have a custody order, gentlemen, and the custody order says you cannot travel across state lines, and you have legitimate rights as a father, meaning you have your rights as a father, then you do have some rights. This idea that because the mother is unmarried, constitute that because she's unmarried, it means that, the father has no rights. It's almost like what basically people was trying to give me is that basically the mother is able to make any and all decisions as far as the child is concerned. In other words, the father don't exist. The mother just exists. And I'm saying that that is incorrect. Unless you have some paperwork that states that, maybe on the legitimation paperwork, if it stated that, hey, Anthony can do nothing without Shayla, then that's different. And they would have stated that in the script. But they didn't state that in the script. And that was kind of what I was pinpointing to people. But go ahead, friend, bring your legal team, come. I don't mind. Hey, Oneil, I'm not a lawyer. Like I said before, I just try to see exactly if I can let people know. You have rights. Go research it. Go try to find cases to back up what you have going on, or, get a lawyer to basically advise you as best as they possibly can. I'm not a lawyer. I just try to make sure people don't get bullied, right? Especially when it comes to childcare and those things, because you also have men who will try to bully women using the law. It generally fewer than you have it the other way around, but that's just the reality of it. All right, well, friends, give me a take on this one. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna talk to y'all soon.